Hi everyone, this is James Hirshfield, the Director of Instruction for Five Simple Keys at Reunion Resort in Orlando, Florida, and really just wanted to kind of go over my take on the golf swing and really how we use our body to influence the type of shot that we want to hit, and really be able to hit the ball as far as we can, but make sure it's controllable as well, and we can do that consistently. So I have a young student here on the left, a very good golfer. Spent some time with me and spends a lot of time with the Golf Evolution team up in Erie, Pennsylvania. Dave Wedzik and Eric Barzeski, so they've been doing great stuff with him. And of course Grant Waite on the right, another world-class both golfer and instructor, and would like to actually thank him for continuing really the research that's ongoing and always will be going to advance this great game. So just want to kind of go over some pieces. So got some dots and lines here. I know some like it, some don't, but again, it's just my take. So got the ball position here marked out with the red line up from the ball, and we can see that Grant's got it a little bit further forward, maybe about one ball width further forward than Josh here, and that's going to help for Grant, help him. And again, this is just speculation. I didn't have these recorded with the flight scope, but Grant's probably going to be able to hit up on this a couple of degrees, maybe one, between kind of 1 or 2, and Josh is probably going to be hitting a little bit closer to level. But again, that's speculation, but just from my understanding of kind of the geometry of the golf swing. So I'm going to start taking Josh up here during the course of the backswing, and we're going to see how the left shoulder movement is going to be working. Again, this is kind of my take on what the best golfers do. So we're going to see that the left shoulder is going to work not only down, but not only inwards, but both. So it's going to work incrementally down and inward during the course of the backswing. We can see that happening there, and the same thing's going to be happening with Grant here during the time and space of this backswing. And I'd also like to note some of these beautiful alignments that they both have here. It's set up with the handle location, what we'd call it 0. So you can see here that the shafts are straight up and down, pretty much at the left ear, which is absolutely brilliant. You can see that the hips are pretty much 0. There's maybe about 5 degrees of tilt from the lower centre up to the sternum. We'll be able to see with these guys here. So again, pretty darn good for both of them. So again, I'll start taking them both up to the top here. We'll see the left shoulder going downward and inward evenly during the course of the backswing. And it starts to get pretty apparent to note here that as this happens and it lets the shoulders turn on their inclined angle, because remember these clubs are bent and we're also playing on the side of a golf ball, to the side of a golf ball. It's going to be pretty, again, apparent to note here how these knees, we're going to see how the left knee has actually gone up and has lost flex, and the left knee, sorry, the right knee here, and the left knee has flexed and moved down and inward. Okay, again with both golfers. So that starts to get the hips to turn on an inclined angle as well. So the hips are going to be turning on a slant, which again is dictated by us being bent over at setup. So that's going to be pretty important here. And I'd also like to note for Josh on the left, some of you may have noticed this, that he's actually got his back foot pulled back a couple of inches. Now the reason that we did this, and some golfers may like this, is we got the back foot pulled back 2 inches, but we kept the knees square. So for the knees to be square at setup and that back foot back, the right leg had to increase some of its flexion. Okay, so why did we like that? So that during the backswing, the golfer could feel like he can use his right leg and hip and feel like he pushes down off the ground, so pushes the right foot down which actually starts to help kick in the extension piece of the right hip going upwards as well as back behind him. Okay, so if you were to put this on a swing catalyst, again, I wouldn't be able to give you the exact figures here because these golfers I didn't have on a swing catalyst, but again, from my personal study and understanding, you would start to see that the centre of pressure, which would probably be around 50%, pretty much even at setup, you'll start to see would go backwards during the course of the backswing, maybe about 1.5 inches, because as the right leg straightens, so as the right leg loses flex, it exerts pressure downward. Okay, and that's going to also help this golfer extend the hip girdle and the pelvis during the course of the backswing, and for him feels like there's less turning and more of the extension. So the reason for that, and we see this is pretty common with some of the ladies and some juniors, that what happens is as we start to get to the top, if the shoulders start to over rotate and the eye line starts shifting excessively to the right as well, this can tend to lead to a swing direction that is shifted too much to the right as well. So an example may be Lorraine Ochoa. So you look in the downswing how she starts shifting the eye line to the right, and again that will have a tendency to shift the path more to the right, because as the neck rotates and the eye line changes, it gives more freedom for the shoulders to keep turning. Okay, so there's a measurement there where we don't want it to happen too much, so we can have a pretty straight angle into the golf ball. Okay, so both do a pretty nice job here. So I'm just going to again quickly back these up and just show us where the hips are for as we keep going a little bit further forward throughout this analysis. Just bear with me. So again, so we take the golfers up to the top, and we can see the knees have changed flexion, and we can see again there's some extension within the thoracic spine as well. That's what we start to see with some of that curve. Both these golfers do these brilliantly and have the wrists loaded. Start to see some of the angles within the wrists here to store some potential power, like you'd see a baseball player does, or an American football thrower, quarterback. So now we start making the downswing, and this is going to be pretty important. So this is a big piece that the better golfers do, and a lot of golfers need to do. So as we start transferring the weight forwards, we're going to start to take note of some things, what happens with the axis tilt and the hips, as well as the knees. So as the lower body weight starts to move forward, it starts to increase what we call axis tilt. So now there is a side bend. It's some differentiation. So the lower body is now forward of the upper body. This happens by allowing the knees to move forward and start to rotate. So you can see that front knee and trail knee are both forward of where they were at setup. So they move forward, and that allows the hips to move forward and keep the upper centre stable to have a nice shallow angle of approach into the golf ball. So this is where things get really interesting. So again, we can still see how those wrist angles are loaded. That right wrist is bent, and this is going to be what you're going to see in all of the TPI graphs, and with the degrees of freedom that the wrists, how they act, is that they will both now start to unload. Those wrist bends will actually start to dissipate into the golf ball. So that would be the equivalent of like a whip crack. Okay, so again, so as the golfer transfers the weight forward and through the right sequencing, those wrist angles load and then unload into the golf ball. Okay, so you can transfer maximum speed to the golf ball to propel it the furthest. And again, you can see how the side tilt's increased still, the knees are forwards, and the right heels are down. Pretty important piece here. This is where the best golfers are going to be able to start really propelling the ball far, and now you can start to see how the belt actually raises as the legs straighten. So that is not just turning, that is now extension and turn with side bend. So at setup we were bent over, but now we can see that the line of where the belt was has actually moved up, and the golfer is pushed off the ground and extended. Again, you see how the wrist angles are starting to recock. So this is what the best golfers, is my take, what the best golfers in the world are doing, and my recommendation to be able to really hit the ball the furthest, and be able to control the geometry of the swing the most. And this is my take, and I hope you enjoy it. And if you have any questions, I'm on Twitter at Hirshfield, and I'm also on YouTube and the Facebook groups. And I hope this will make sense and had some fun. Thank you.